The last person I ever expected to call me was my ex-girlfriend's mother. We hadn't spoken since the breakup, and I assumed their family wanted nothing to do with me. But when she asked if I could come fix her broken fence, something in her voice didn't sound right. I thought it was just a simple favor, until she looked me straight in the eyes and quietly said, "Finish it, and I'll make it worth your while." I thought she meant money. I couldn't have been more wrong. What she offered me before the sun went down changed everything I thought I knew about love, betrayal, and the woman I once planned to marry. I never thought a broken fence could reopen a broken heart. 3 years had passed since Emily and I ended things. We had spent nearly 5 years together, talking about marriage, dreaming about buying a little house outside town, and planning a future that felt certain. Then, almost overnight, it all disappeared. She told me she had grown into a different person. Those were the exact words. No arguments, no cheating, at least not that I knew of. Just goodbye. For months, I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't successful enough. Maybe I worked too much. Maybe I didn't listen enough. Eventually I accepted that some people simply leave, or at least I tried to. Life moved on. I picked up more construction jobs, bought an old pickup truck, and slowly rebuilt my life, one day at a time. Then one Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. The caller ID surprised me. Linda, Emily's mom. I stared at the screen until it nearly stopped ringing. Curiosity won. Jake. Her voice sounded older. Tired. I know this is unexpected. You could say that. She let out a nervous laugh. I need help. My backyard fence collapsed after the storm. Silence. I remember you were always good with repairs. I almost laughed. There were dozens of contractors in town. Why call me? I think you should call someone else. I don't trust someone else. There was something strange in the way she said it, almost desperate. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The next morning I drove over. Walking through that gate felt like stepping into another life. The same flower beds, the same porch swing Emily and I had painted together, the same maple tree where we carved our initials. Everything looked familiar. Everything hurt. Linda greeted me with a warm smile that looked forced. You've changed. She handed me coffee before I even asked. You still take it black. I blinked. I started measuring the damaged fence while trying to ignore the flood of memories. About 20 minutes later, Linda walked outside carrying lemonade. She watched me hammer in a post. Then she quietly said, "Finish it and I'll make it worth your while." I smiled awkwardly. You already said you'd pay me. She looked away. I wasn't talking about money. That got my attention. What do you mean? Finish first. The next few hours felt strangely quiet. Linda barely spoke. She just watched. Sometimes she looked like she wanted to say something. Other times she looked ready to cry. By late afternoon, I finished replacing every damaged section. I wiped the sweat from my forehead. There. It's done. She nodded. Come inside. Something about those words made my stomach tighten. Inside, the house hadn't changed much. Family photos still covered the walls, except Emily's recent pictures were gone. Only childhood photos remained. Linda noticed me looking. I took the newer ones down. Why? You'll understand. She walked into the living room and returned carrying a small wooden box. She placed it on the table between us. I've been waiting 3 years to give you this. I frowned. What is it? It belongs to you. She opened the box. Inside were dozens of letters. Every envelope had my name on it. My handwriting. No, Emily's handwriting. I froze. I never got these. Linda slowly nodded. I know. My heart started pounding. Who stopped them? She closed her eyes. Emily's father. The room went silent. He found every letter before it was mailed. I couldn't breathe. He thought breaking your relationship was the best thing for Emily. I looked at the stack. There had to be 20 letters, maybe more. I don't understand. Neither did Emily. My hands shook as I opened the first envelope. Jake, I know you're hurting. Please don't give up on us. Dad thinks you're holding me back. He's threatening to cut me off financially if I stay with you. I don't know what to do. Please answer. Love, Emily. I stared at the page. The second letter, no reply yet. Did you get my last one? Please just tell me if we're over. I can't stand this silence. The third, I'm starting to think you hate me. If that's true, I understand. By the fifth letter, she believed I had abandoned her. By the 10th, she wrote that she was trying to move on. I'll always love the version of us that almost happened. I couldn't stop crying. 3 years. 3 years wasted because someone decided our lives for us. Linda finally spoke. I found the letters after my husband passed away last winter. What? They were hidden in his office. She reached across the table. I argued with him for years, but he never admitted what he'd done. I couldn't even find words. She continued. He believed love wasn't enough. He wanted Emily to marry someone wealthy, and she did. My chest tightened. Did? Linda nodded sadly. It lasted 11 months. Apparently the wealthy businessman had controlled everything Emily did. Eventually she left, divorced, starting over. I leaned back, overwhelmed. So why tell me now? Linda smiled through tears, because everyone deserves the truth. She stood and walked upstairs. When she returned, she carried another envelope. This one arrived yesterday. It's from Emily. I stared. She doesn't know you're here. Linda handed it to me. I hesitated before opening it. Inside was one page. Mom, I still think about Jake more than I'd like to admit. Sometimes I wonder if he ever cared. Sometimes I wonder why he disappeared without a word. I guess I'll never know. No. Forget it. Some things aren't meant to be fixed. Love, Emily. I laughed bitterly. The irony. Linda nodded. Exactly. For several minutes neither of us spoke. The silence said everything. Before leaving, Linda looked at me. If you could ask her one question, what would it be? I didn't even think. Why didn't she fight harder? Linda smiled sadly. Oh, Jake. She thought she was the only one fighting. I drove home in complete silence. That night I couldn't sleep. I reread every letter. Every page rewrote my memories. Everything I believed about our breakup was wrong. A few days later, while scrolling through videos to distract myself, I stumbled across a heartfelt story on Echo of Tales. It reminded me that sometimes the truth hides for years, waiting for the right moment to change someone's life. The next morning I made a decision. I wrote Emily a letter. Not a text, not an email, a handwritten letter. I told her everything I had learned. I included copies of the letters her father had hidden. Then I waited. 10 days later, someone knocked on my door. I already knew. When I opened it, there she was. Emily looked different. Older. Stronger. They were exactly the same. Neither of us spoke. She simply held up my letter. I read everything. I nodded. So did I. She stepped closer. I thought you abandoned me. I thought you stopped loving me. We both laughed through tears at the same time. For nearly an hour, we sat on my porch, comparing memories. Every misunderstanding suddenly made sense. Every unanswered question finally had an answer. Neither of us blamed her father anymore. Anger couldn't change the past, but honesty could shape the future. As the sun began to set, Emily looked toward the old fence surrounding my backyard. You still build things, I smiled. I'm better at fixing them now. She looked at me. So am I. We didn't rush back into a relationship. Some wounds deserve patience. Over the next several months, we became friends again. Real friends. We learned who we'd become after years apart. Eventually friendship became trust. Trust became love. This time, nobody stood between us. Not fear, not pride, not silence. 1 year later, I built another fence. Not because it was broken, because Emily and I had just bought our first home together. As I drove the last nail into place, she walked outside carrying 2 cups of coffee. You know, she laughed. Mom still says fixing fences saved our lives. I smiled. She wasn't wrong. Sometimes life doesn't fall apart because love disappears. Sometimes it falls apart because truth gets buried. If there's one lesson I carry with me now, it's this. Never assume silence means someone stopped caring. Sometimes the loudest love is trapped behind words that were never allowed to reach you. And when the truth finally finds its way home, it has the power to rebuild far more than broken fences. It can rebuild broken hearts.